What's good, everybody? Look, y'all know who I am. Y'all know who. See, I'm off, bro. I'm off. All right,
Yeah, we all are.
in three, two. What's good, everybody? Look, y'all know who I am. For those who don't know, I go by the name of Gabriel Ori, and this is my business partner, co-host,
What's up, y'all? J.R. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, man, Mr. Too Cool. How's your day, bro? How's your day going? I see. I like your camera, bro.
Yeah, that's how my day is going, bro. You see my cameras. We in a little battle right now, but my day is good. It's rainy outside, and it's a little chill today, like always. You know what I mean? So we good.
We back in that season again. Every year,
Hurricane
guys.
season.
When the season comes in, I mean, it's like welcome to the season, boom, and just like that, we already in a like, hey, the businesses are closing, schools are closing, stay home. So we back at it again. But hey, man, no complaints on my side. I had a pretty good day, but I am super tired. Y'all see, I haven't shaved in a minute. Yeah, this ain't the best foot forward, but we're gonna do what we do because that's what we do, because this is Ask a Producer, and we do believe that even though that we're music producers and we deal in music, this show is not about music only. It's about people who are producing in life, and we like to bring the people on who's producing positivity, positively, and impacting their community and themselves, their family, for the good. And so tonight's no different. We have a very special guest that's in the green room. But before we bring him on, we want you to share this video, tag people that's in the real estate market, tag people that's interested in that, because I mean, and this is going to be a very informative pod, because we're talking about the real estate market, right, and everything that goes with that. We know we're in 2024, and I just heard, man, as a matter of fact, that the interest rate just kind of dropped. I think it's at 6
percentage?
I think it's at 6.23. But our guest can
we got the expert on the
television. Yeah. I think it's somewhere there, but I think it's going to drop again before this year is out, which is good. Good news for the people who want to get into a house. So anyway, he hails from the great Greensboro, North Carolina. And we're just going to get straight to it. We're going to bring him on. So this is the one, the only Mr. OJ Linney. Hit the button. I'm usually not like that, but today has been a day. But listen, I know I gave you a little light introduction, but why don't you introduce yourself to our platform?
Yeah, I'm OJ Linney. I'm originally from Greensboro, North Carolina. Came to Charleston, South Carolina back in '98 to play ball at Charleston Southern University. Was there, transferred from a junior college there, and played 3 years at Charleston Southern, and then got my degree, free education, scholarship. So decided 2 years after I graduated to get into the mortgage business, because I was actually going in to buy an actual house, and the program that I was going to asked me if I wanted a job, and I was like, I don't know anything about mortgages, and they were like, it's on the job training. I said, hey, let's do it. Let's start a new career, and I haven't looked back since. Been in the business for 22 years. I'm now at Movement Mortgage. Loving Movement Mortgage. Been here for 2 years. We do a lot of stuff in the community. We have an actual movement charter school that's starting up, that is free, and it's going to be in North Charleston. It actual starts August the 12th is the ribbon cutting, and August 13th is first day of school.
Bro, so you and I both are ballers. Tell me what it's like. Was it hard for you to kind of adjust from after you done play ball, or you pretty much half of your life into something different. Was that a hard adjustment for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, I figured that I wouldn't make it to the NBA. I mean, during that time, you know, our time growing up, we don't have the opportunities these youngins have now.
Right.
You know, they've got so many. They've got the platforms to get noticed, and you know, they have 50 million AAU teams that they can go and play in front of college coaches. And when I was growing up, there was one AAU team in Greensboro. You didn't make that team, well, you wasn't playing AAU. So I kind of figured, and plus, you know, during that time, you had to be 6'6" or above to even remotely even have a chance of getting to the NBA. So I knew I wasn't going to go to the NBA, but played a little semi-pro. But, you know, it was just something that I had a daughter who's now grown, but, you know, my job was to be there for them and just, you know, hit the real world. So it wasn't too hard for me. I kind of knew. I kind of had the plans, but I actually didn't go into the field that I was got my education in, which most people don't when they have their college degree. Yeah. I got a double major in sociology and psychology. I guess you got to deal with people's minds on the mortgage side of it, but it wasn't too hard.
That's what's up, man. I definitely understand, because I know for myself, I already had in the back of my mind, look, if I'm not going nowhere, I'm going to have to adjust quickly. And so, of course, business and music was always something that I loved. Well, music was one of the second things that I loved doing. And I didn't really pick up doing business until I moved back home back in 2007, I think, because Gabe and I met in 2009. No, I moved back home in 2004. And I was like, I got to find something to do. And so, like you, man, I was like, yo, I'm not going to the league. I got to find some way to make some money. And I don't want to be staying in my dad's house the rest of my life. So I got to find something to do. And so here we are. Got a podcast.
You got to evolve.
Exactly.
But you're right, OJ. It seems like the majority of us do not do what we went to college and spent money to get into do. I went for computer networking administration, and I never it's like you spend all that money and then you don't really do it. I think now that you bring that up, I think that it'd be remiss to just to say, you know, I feel like, you know, especially with the younger folks now, you really need to know what you want to do before you jump out there, you know, before you go into the college landscape, or before you start spending money. Is very good and productive. And I know we all have kids, and that's how, you know, I plan to show my kids, hey, before we get to this level, while you in elementary school, I want to try to start to see, hey, what you gravitating towards, or what's your gift, or yeah, man, because you'll waste a lot of time, a lot of money, energy, and, you know, before you get into your groove, you might be, you know, this old person now, or considered old to most. So speaking of ball, so you guys played ball together, college?
Not together. I didn't meet OJ till I moved back until I moved back home. Well, no, every off and on, you know, people around the city play ball, and we connected somewhere playing ball. I think it might have been at the Wreck in Goose Creek.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that's how I meet a lot of people, from playing ball and just being in the community. But he went to JUCO. I went to JUCO. And he played, like he said, he was at CSU. I tried to get on at Winthrop, but I had to stay another year in junior college. And that was the end of my basketball world, because I didn't go back to junior college.
So now, OJ, you said something earlier. You said you went to buy a house, and then the company you went through to get the house, they offered you a job. You say, hey man, I don't have experience, and they like, it'll just come on. Like, how was that for you? Like, was that like, did you look at that as an open door? Like, oh, it's an open door. I always wanted to get into something like this and see how it is. Or was it like, yo, I need a job? Yes, I'll take
it. Yeah, I needed a career, you know. No, I mean, you know, I was working at Old Navy, and what I actually had planned to do was go back home. I actually had a job lined up in my field, working for Big Brother, Big Sister. and I was, married and at the time, and my wife didn't want to go, and so I was like, okay, well now I've got to pivot, and I said, well, let's go ahead and buy a house here, and what we did is we went to found this program, this mortgage company with no down payment, no closing costs, and went to a workshop. They give workshops, so we went to a workshop, and I sat down with the counselor one-on-one, who was the director at the time. And she was like, hey, we're looking to hire. We like your demeanor. We like how you, pick up on stuff real quick. And I was like, yeah, I've never been in the mortgage business. I came here to buy a house to get educated on it. Like, hey, on the job training, here you go. And they threw me in, and, within a year, I actually was running the program and spent 20 years in that program, running that program, got it up to, I think they were averaging like 5 to 6 people at a workshop, got it up to about 120 a workshop. And we did 2 workshops a month, and just decided, hey, I wanted to stay in this industry through all the ups and downs. Yeah, as you guys know, in 2008, it was crazy. Yeah. Market imploded. A lot of people lost jobs. The mortgage industry changed for the, I would say for the better. You had some people that was taking advantage of other individuals that were uneducated in buying a house, and so that was a good thing. So I was able to transition through all of that and stay in the business.
Was there ever? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Was there ever a time that you were like, man, I don't want to do this no more. I want to find something else to do? Or did you fell in love with it? Right?
It actually wasn't. I did. I actually fell in love with it. The mortgage company, the previous mortgage company I was at, I really took it from nothing to something, and it was kind of my baby, and I was like, hey, I'm just going to raise this program to where it needs to be, because we provide an incredible product. And so I just like, I'm gonna take it and run with it. And the only reason I actually left that company was because the market changed in 2022. And just, we've targeted individuals that were low to moderate income.
Oh.
And as you know, in 2022, when interest rates went down to the 2s and 3s, house prices went up to 3s and 4s. And hey, I mean, low to moderate income individuals couldn't buy a house at that point. So, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to get out of the business, or I'm going to stay in the business? I put myself out there on LinkedIn and got a ton of offers to run different mortgage companies and banks and that kind of stuff. And, I just landed at Movement Mortgage because I loved what we had over here, what they had at that time, what they had to offer, and the give back to the community, because that was a big thing for me, is to give back to the community. So I really didn't ever think about getting out of the business. I just love what I do, and I love to actually, help people be able to create generational, and that's the biggest thing.
Wow.
So OJ, this is a little sidebar, a little humor. All right, so you said the young lady that was running the company. Now, it's 2 situations I could think of that this young lady wanted to give you this job all of a sudden. She saw this fine, young, tall, handsome guy walk in, and she's like, oh my God. Yes, are you interested in a job? That's scenario number 1. Scenario number 2 is she's like, I need a sucker to take this job because I'm leaving. I just need somebody to come in. So that's just a sidebar, man. But
yeah. No, it wasn't that. She was in the business of trying to help young African Americans to better themselves, and I was able to take advantage of the opportunity that she provided.
So tell us about the market. Now, I know, like you said, 2022, 2020, we know what happened. COVID came in, and those interest rates dropped so far down. And like you said, those houses started going up. I know it because I had 2 houses at the time. an investment property that I was renting out, and where I live now. And when that happened in 2020, I started thinking like, this might be the time to sell. And so I waited, and that price was like, woo! I was like, yeah, I'm selling right now. So I took advantage of that time. But like, tell us, so from that time to now, we've seen a lot of peaks and valleys, or valleys and peaks. Where are we now with the market, and why? If Tell us, should a person buy now, and if so, why? And if not, why?
Well, I'm not that type of person that's going to say every day is the best time to buy. It's not for everybody to buy a house right now, but it is better now to buy because of interest rates drop. Just like you said, previously the interest rates have dropped to somewhere around below 6.5. And I think a lot of people get fixated on rates.
Yeah.
And what people don't understand is, rates have pretty much, from the time that I got in the business to where we are now, rates have pretty much been in this range, right? Mm. I mean, unless you were back in like 1980 when interest rates were 13% to buy a house. And people think, wow, 13% to buy a house, but the price of houses was like $25,000.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, 13% on 25,000 on a 30 years is nothing.
Right.
But, when I first bought my first house in 2004, it was brand new construction. It was 2,600 square feet. It was 185,000 right behind the Walmart in Goose Creek. And I look at that price of that house now, it's like $415. And I'm like, that's crazy, because I got an interest rate of 5.75% interest rate on that house. And it's insane how where the price of houses are. Now, they have come down significantly by also appreciating at the same time. So when I say that is, people are not coming in and overbidding on houses anymore. They're coming in and they're asking for, at list price, or, maybe $5,000 less or something like that. So, and that's because interest rates are stable and they aren't low, because as soon as the rates hit low again, which I don't ever think they're going to get to 2 to 3%, because if they do, then your average person is not going to be able to buy a house. It's just the average price is going to be $550 in Charleston. Nobody's going to be able to afford that, especially the working class individuals, middle class, and the lower class. So I think interest rates are good where they are. I do say, if you're going to buy, you need to definitely buy now, because if interest rates do drop at any point in time, the price of houses are going to go up as well. So it's going to kind of offset, you waiting to buy a house based off of the interest rates, because you can always buy at the price today and then refinance that price later.
I think when COVID hit and those rates dropped, people just kind of got spoiled and stuck. Like, hey, I'm kind of wait till this interest get back down to this rate. That's going to be a while till that happens.
Yeah, I was one of them. I mean, I got a 2.625% interest rate. I'm still in the house now, And my wife and I, we talk about we want to sell this house at some point in time and build on some land that we have, and build a house that we want. But downgrading, for less square footage is just not feasible. I mean, you're going to pay more because the price of houses are more. The cost to build is more. So it's like, okay, do I want to downsize, 12 to 1,400 square feet less and pay
more,
25% more?
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing right now. But yeah, I mean, I always tell people, if you're in the position to buy, and I make sure that you are in the position to buy. If you're in a position to buy now, because you can always refinance the interest rate later. I have people that have bought a house last year when rates were in the 7s, and now they're starting to, they've got some equity in the house, and they're starting to, either get out of their mortgage insurance that they have, or some of them are doing a little bit of cash out because, as of right now, the debt that individuals are in right now is at an all-time high. The credit card debt, the personal loan debt, all those debts, people are at an all-time high with the debt. So some people are using some of the equity to do cash out, refi, because interest rates are dropping. So they're taking advantage of it. And if they waited, they would not have had that advantage to be able to get out of some of the debt that they're in now, because they wouldn't have an asset to be able to do so, to leverage.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a real quick break. But when we come back, OJ, I want you to talk to us and talk to our platform a little bit about leverage, about why getting a house maybe, or talk about the situations where getting a house would be better than renting something. Also educate our platform on, how to, like you said, equity, like explain what equity is, all of that, when we come back. This is Ask a Producer. What's good, everybody? So look, y'all know who I am, but for those who don't know, I go by the name of Gabriel Ori, and listen, this is my co-host, business partner
JR. What's up, y'all?
Yo, and so look, we y'all know we doing this podcast thing. Y'all see it. Y'all don't want to say nothing, but I know y'all see it. But listen, we need you guys' help. We want to invite you guys to be a part of this platform, and it takes sponsors, it takes willing vessels, people to kind of put the word out there, spread the word, help us get this thing out. So that's our thing. Help us get this podcast out. We've been getting a lot of reviews of people telling us how good the pod is and how much they like it and how it impacts their lives. And we want to impact more lives. So why don't you do us a favor, man? Just join up, click this link, join up with us, partner with us so that we can get this out to more people. JR,
and not only that, if you like what you see, you can help promote us freely. Just share it to your friends, your neighbors, through text messages, social media, and just tell the world about what we got going on here. Because look, we want to bring all the producers on here. Look, it's not about music, it's about people who just doing great things in their community, and we want to highlight their producing skills. So it takes you guys to help us to get there. So yeah, help us out.
Look, tell a friend to tell a friend. Like JR said, just share this thing. Peace. What up, good peeps? Look, I go by the name of Gabriel Ori, and I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. Look, if you like rap music and you like gospel, and you put those together, gospel rap, then you'll love the music that I've been releasing. My new album is called Ecclesia, and the latest single off that project is called No, we won't stop. No, we won't quit. Awesome God, I know y'all see it. So listen, click the link below, because not only do I want to give you guys a preview of my new single, of my videos, of the work that I've been doing in the past, I also have a few free gifts for you, just to say thank you for supporting independent artists like myself. Listen, I'll see you guys on the other side. And we're back. So listen, we're rocking here with Mr. OJ Linney, and he is a loan officer, and he's been kind of sharing with us, some of his journey along the way and how he got into doing this for over 22 years. You said, OJ? 22 years. So he knows what he's talking about. And so before the break, we asked OJ to kind of tell our platform, especially the new ones that may, just getting out of high school or college, and you're interested in maybe getting a house, but you don't know. OJ, kind of break down, what the benefits are to buying a house, maybe over getting in an apartment.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, the biggest thing is to make sure you're in the right position now to be able to buy a house. Not everybody's in the right position to buy a house, but I definitely will let people know that, number one, they got to get the education. And a lot of times, that's lacking. I come from a family that, majority of the individuals, like my grandfather, both of my grandfathers on my mom and my dad's side, they owned homes. My parents owned a home, but they never had that conversation with me, right? To say, okay, well, this is what you're going to do. You need to do X, Y, and Z. You need to put X, Y, and Z away because you're going to have to save for a down payment. You're going to have closing costs. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. They never did that with me. So when I was learning how to buy a house, I was actually learning the business at the exact same time. So, I think that's what kind of enticed me with it, because none of this is taught in schools. So,
No.
So when people do get out of school, they're like, okay, well, I'll go and rent. Well, if you're paying, rent is kind of high now. So if you're paying, $1,500 a month in rent, at the end of the day, you spent what's that, almost $18,000 for 12 months.
Yeah.
And you walk away if you say, I can't afford this, I'm gonna move back home. You just wasted $18,000.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? And the biggest thing is, a lot of times it's just not worth it. And so when you buy a house, you can take whatever equity that you have and you can get a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, and you can use it like a line of credit. Like, back in the day when we were growing up, you get a checking account, you got a line of credit, right? So if you drew your checking account, they pull money from your line of credit, and then bam, you had enough money to cover whatever expenses that you had, and then you pay that line of credit back. So the home equity line of credit is sort of like that. If you need to make some repairs to the house, you need to do something, you need to buy, water heater went out, you got to buy a new water heater, you need to get a new roof, whatever, you can draw that money from your equity and then pay it back over a period of time. So you have the equity to be able to do that, because if you go out and get a personal loan is going to charge you 29, 32% interest, pay it off in 4 years, but the payment's going to be $650 to be able to pay it off in that time frame. And it's just not feasible for most individuals. And then they get themselves in trouble. So having that money to be able to having that asset that you have, owning a home is probably the biggest asset you're going to have. It's going to be one of the biggest purchases you're ever going to make, but it's the biggest asset that you have. And it's probably, I would say, well over 75% of how the rich get rich, and the rich get richer. So real estate is that avenue. So you could take, I wouldn't be in this house that I'm in now if I didn't start that process back in 2004 when I, 2 years out of college, 24 years old, and being, buying that first house, and then taking the equity from that house and buying my next house, and then taking the equity from that house and then buying the house that I'm in now. I wouldn't have been able to afford this house. I never really thought, I would have never thought that I could live in the community that I live in now, back then, because I would not, this house right here definitely would not have been my first house, because I wouldn't be able to afford it. But because I did buy early, I was able to afford this house. And that's what most people, they see individuals like myself and JR, you see us in these houses, but you don't know where we started. You have to start somewhere. And that's what people don't understand. They're like, well, I want to buy a 4,000 square foot house, but you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. You got to buy a 1,200 square foot house. And then maybe you can use that 1,200 square foot house and Gabe, like you did, rent it out, invest it, and do an investment, make some money off of it, and then sell it. And then, you can buy another house, or you can use the equity and, turn your current house that you're going to buy a new house, turn that house into an investment property, use the equity out of that property to put a down payment on your current house now, where you don't spend any money in that. You don't come out of pocket with that money. So, and then somebody else is making that mortgage payment for you, and that HELOC or that home equity line that you have, they're making that payment for you as well. So you really didn't come out of pocket with any money. So it's just about leveraging your assets and having the opportunity to be, to create generational wealth and be able to pass it down. And because I'm in the business and I've been in the business for so long, the greatest form of flattery is to have a parent trust me with their kids in buying a house. And I've had several parents call me and say, hey, I trust you, OJ. You helped me be able to buy a house, whether it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. And then and just recently, I had a young man that he and his wife purchased a house last year, and he sent both his daughters to me, and one of his daughters is going through the process now, and she's going to close this month. So just having that, and he's instilling, and she's young, she's like 20, 24 or something.
Oh, that's good.
He's instilling that into her now, so that she can
Yeah.
buy the house, and then she
Yeah.
can upgrade and upgrade. So that's the great thing about that. Creating generational wealth is really big.
Man, that's so dope. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Gabe. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was gonna say, just piggybacking off of you, OJ. You said a whole lot of things, and I don't want it to go over the audience's head. Like, if y'all peep what he said, most of the things he was saying is leverage, right? So meaning, like, so I had an investment property. That house that became my investment property was actually my first house. What I did was, to hold on to that house, I saw a deal,
Yep.
and I got that deal, and I moved into the house I have now, and so was able to keep that house. And I got a renter in there, and like you said, OJ, they're paying my mortgage, right?
Yep.
They're paying, and the leverage that I got in that is that when I went to the banks again, like, you know what, I want to get me another vehicle, right? Well, they want to look at your debt to income ratio, right? Well, with this asset now that I had, my bank account is looking pretty good to the banks, right? I'm checking off of their boxes. So that's what I mean by leverage. Like, you can use that as leverage to do other things. So I was able to buy me another vehicle without it having to do a bunch of stuff, pay a lot of interest in it. You see what I'm saying? So, like, I don't want y'all to miss that. Like, that's very crucial what he said. And all of that's from one thing, just buying a house. So go ahead, JR.
Like you said, man, the housing, owning a home, that's money in your pockets. If you would just think ownership versus renting is like paying somebody to stay in someone else's house versus owning your own, to where you can turn it into a rental property for yourself and make money back for yourself.
Yep.
But I think the key is the mindset of people listening to different people that's probably not in the profession as where you are, OJ, as a mortgage loan officer. And I think if they would just listen more to people who know what they're talking about, I think their mindset would change. But speaking of, as a mortgage loan officer, what type of mortgages do you deal with?
So I mean, I have all types. I deal with first time home buyers, investment properties. So the biggest thing, I mean, that individuals need to understand, and it's just about getting the education and understanding the process. And you got to get with someone who is going to educate you on the home buying process, that knows what programs and stuff that are out there for you. Like, what we have to offer are several down payment assistance programs. So what's that going to do for you? That's gonna lighten the amount of money that you have to come out of your pocket with. And then we have great real estate agents that we can refer you to, that we can have a conversation with them and say, hey, they're going to be running tight on some money. So we're already getting down payment assistance to help them. And let's see if we can get some money from the seller to be able to help with even the closing costs. Because when you buy a house, you have down payment that you have to pay for, and you have closing costs that you have to pay for. Mm-hmm. So if we can help you get the down payment assistance, and the real estate agents that we work with can help you get the seller concessions to be able to help for closing costs, then that's coming out of pocket with as much as minimum amount of money as needed to be able to buy a house. And if you can buy a house with $5,000 to $10,000, initially you would have had to spend $15,000 to $20,000. That's just giving you more leverage because you spent less money to get into that appreciating asset, not depreciating asset. And that's what we want to try to help you do. And so that's what the whole education comes into play. You got FHA, which is backed by the government. Usually they require a 3.5% down payment. So if you're looking at a $300,000 house, that's $10,500 that you got to come out of your pocket with. Well, if we can get you a South Carolina housing grant for $8,000 to take care of 8,000 of that 10,500. Now you only have to come out of pocket with 2,500 for the down payment. If your closing cost is $10,000 and we can get the real estate agent to do $7,500. That means you got to come out of pocket with another $2,500. And in the beginning, you would have had to come out of pocket with $21,000. And in this scenario, you only have to come out of pocket with $5,000. So that's a big thing. And then, you got conventional loans that you typically have to come out of pocket with about 3% of that for the down payment. So it's so many things that are out there. Like I said, the biggest thing is to get the education and get with somebody that's going to take the time to educate you on buying that house, not just trying to throw you into something that you can't afford. If I can see somebody can't afford a certain payment, I even go over a budget with you. If you say, well, I don't think that payment is feasible for me. Well, okay, well, let's do a budget. Let's talk about what you spend your money on. Is the money that you're spending your money on, is that helping you? Is that appreciated? Do you pay a $900 car payment? Oh, you do?
Gosh.
Hey, people, they do now.
Good Lord.
Car payment, what car you do have. And let's talk about possibly trading that car in for something a lot cheaper. So these are tough conversations that we do have to have, because I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, if you go to an apartment complex, man, there's some nice cars sitting in that apartment complex.
That is true. That is very true.
But if you go to you drive in a neighborhood that's pretty nice. You drive down that road, I guarantee you're not going to see some dynamic and just incredible cars. I'm gonna go ahead and give you. I mean, I live in a nice neighborhood. I have a 2013 Honda Ridgeline that's paid for, and I have a 2000 Honda Civic Si that's paid for. I don't need a Maserati. I don't need a Lexus. I don't need a BMW. And I'm not knocking individuals that do have that. But what I'm saying is, and I'm not saying you're not going to see nice cars if you go through a community. You're going to see some, but you're going to see more in an apartment complex. It's because individuals are trying to live the status quo to show, hey, I got me a Maserati. I'm driving downtown with my Maserati, but then you want to go back to my house. I'm taking you back to an apartment. I'm not taking you back to a house. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with renting, but you have your priorities in the wrong area, right?
I want to jump in on something.
When I was single, hold on. When I was single now, listen, when I was single, my biggest flex wasn't my car. It was my house.
Is the house or the apartment? I was
gonna say, because you was 24, and that was another thing. Like, you was mad young when you got your house. And I don't know a lot of people, like a handful of people who got their houses in their early 20s. And so kudos to you. You had your mind on it. You had it set. No wonder you as good as you are. You've been in the field for a long time. What I wanted to say was you said about real estate agents and things like that. And I want to bring this question up, but I'm gonna bring it up this way. So being an owner, right? Being an owner of something, you have a lot more authority, right? So the lady that I ended up selling my house to, I offered her the house in 2020 at what I thought was a steal of a rate, because she one of us. I'm like, hey, and she's like, I never had a house, and I'm like, I said, I'm gonna sell you this house. I said, I'm gonna give you first offer. If you don't want it now, I'm going to sell it to somebody else, and I'm going to jack that price up. But so I offered it to her, and she kind of put me on hold, and she put me on hold for a year. And I would ask her like, "Hey, what's up? Oh, I'm in this program. I'm coming to you, Mr. Ori." I'm like, "Man, what's up with this lady?" So by the time I got to the point where, like, all right, it's 2021. Hey, I'm gonna sell this. I'm selling this house. So if you don't want it, she's like, no, I want it. I was like, well, what's up? What are you doing? When I finally asked her that, you know what she said? I was trying to get the money for a down payment and so she was in a program, dude. I was like, lady, I said, I own the house. I said, I own the house. She's like, yeah. I was like, you know what that means? Just tell me, I want to get rid of the house. I'll pay for your closing costs. So like you were saying, like, you get the seller to. So what I did, I paid for the closing costs. Now, what it was a year gap from 2020 to 2021. And that price went up. So I was like, I got to get my
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
I want to bring it into this question. Speaking of like because I was an owner, so I just told my agent, hey, I'm gonna pay for the closing costs. Let's just get it done. So I've heard a thing that this month in August, the way that they typically do real estate agents, you have your buyer's agent, you have your seller's agent, and they, for the general purpose, they kind of get like 3% a piece or something like that. That's a total of 6%. So when you go into closing costs, that's a part of it. Now I heard that it's gonna kind of be changing.
That's for the seller side. It was for the seller side. Yeah.
For the seller, yes. The seller has to pay this.
Yeah.
Now it's changing. Can you speak a little bit about what this new change that's coming this month? I don't know if it's already out yet, but I know I keep my ear to the real estate business, and I heard this thing is coming. Can you speak on that a little bit?
August 17th is basically when it goes into full effect.
Oh, wow.
But it's out. I mean, it's out. People negotiating deals and stuff based off of now. But basically, as you were stating, that when you were selling that house, if she had a real estate agent, you would have had to pay that real estate agent along with your real estate agent. And that was as you as the seller. Now that is not the case. Now it is now that the agent can negotiate that the seller take care of it. And if the seller is really trying to help that buyer out, they can take care of it. But now, the way that the laws and stuff have changed is they can say no, and then the buyer would then have to pay their agent, and you can negotiate it. But typically, at the end of the day, that agent is working so much for you, you're not going to. Well, I'll pay you 1% because they're worth well more than 1%. You're going to want to pay them, the full 3%. And maybe you can, you and the agent can work something out, that's a little lower than the 3%, but it's not going to be anything like, a 1% or 1.5%. But, that the times have changed. But it's still a good thing for the buyers to be able to have representation as a buyer's, for a buyer's agent, because you just don't know the process of being able to buy a house. And again, that your buyer's agent can negotiate that with the seller. So maybe they can go in, instead of saying that, this house is $305,000, and we go in and we're going to offer 300. You go in and ask for full price, that the seller takes care of the buyer's agent commission. You could do that. So it's a lot of things that you can do on that side of it. But yeah, you're right. It's no longer required by the seller to pay for that. The seller only has to pay their agent, and then the buyer has to pay for their agent.
Wow.
But see, what you're paying for, just so it won't go over your head, you're paying for the knowledge that they have to be able to get you through that process smoothly. Because anybody can tell you, when you're buying a house, it is a process, and it could be drug them up. But if you have a good agent that understands that, I mean, you'll be kind of like just sitting back, let your agent, you paying them for that, you paying them for their knowledge, let them do their thing. And then like for a person like for a seller, it's also good to have an agent, because if they know how to price your stuff right and they know that market, you might be going too low. Like when I initially went to the lady, and it was a good deal for her, but she just didn't know, and neither did I. So once I got an agent, like, oh nah, man, this is what we're about to do. So I'm like, let's go. So so you're paying them for their years of experience and knowledge in that field. So every person is worth their wages, their hire.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So pay them.
Oh yeah.
Pay them. So yeah. So OJ, what you got going on next? What's next for you? I know you've been at this job for 2 years now. What's your goals or your aspirations for this? And then when is OJ gonna get OJs? I want to see that OJ company, marketing company up there.
Yeah, my biggest thing right now is to help as many home buyers as possible be able to buy a house. I know a lot of people, because of the market, because of the market and the interest rates going up, a lot of people have gotten out of the business. but I stayed in the business because I want to be able to help first time home buyers be able to buy a house, investors as well, but also, just kind of put them on the right path. So, my job is that, to hold educational seminars, workshops on weekends. I'm going to be a part of the Movement Charter School that's opening up, and try to help as many of the school staff, faculty, individuals at that charter school get, be able to buy a house as well. Because you're going to have a lot of individuals that are moving from different states to come in and work for the Movement Charter School. So, I want to try to, educate them as well, and just continue to build, my brand with Movement Mortgage, because I just know I love what we do over here with, being a faith-based mortgage company. You just don't get to do that. Definitely don't get to talk about your Christian faith with, at your employer. So Movement Mortgage has been a great platform for me, and a great backbone for me as well.
I was going to ask, man, what would it take? Like you said earlier, like, or JR, you might have said it. It's not in your schools. Like, they don't teach that type of stuff. What do you think it would take to get that in? Like you said, that you're doing a charter school with Movement Mortgage.
Yep.
What would it take to do that, to make that a curriculum or something that kids can have the option to go to?
And that's the great thing about Movement Charter Schools, is they do make that a curriculum in the charter school. So it's K through 5, and so they start to learn early about about finances and that kind of stuff, and they get to take that on. But also in the same sense of it, the parents get to learn about it as well, and be able to kind of pinpoint and educate the adult, so that the adult can continue to feed into that child once that child is into middle school and high school, and kind of say, hey, remember what you learned over here at the charter school, what we learned at the charter school, and let's apply that to real life, and be able to put them in the. We have an event called Grab the Key. I did one last year in November, and basically we're just bringing awareness to the Black and brown community about home ownership, and working ways that we can get the knowledge out there to be able to educate individuals and let them know the ins and outs of being able to buy a house. We have, with Movement Charter Schools, we have what we call Grab the Key Junior, where we go into the school and we do a Grab the Key Junior with the students and the faculty as well, and then also the parents. So we bring everybody in to that, and then we educate them and talk to them about the education on homeownership and creating generational wealth. So,
nice.
Can you? I know we're closing soon. Can you give us an encouraging success story that can maybe help somebody who may be watching right now and saying, "Hey, I don't think I'll be able to get a mortgage or a house because my finances this or that and the third." Have you ever had a story to where someone was, I guess, thinking negatively, and you was able to encourage them, like, and show them a way, like, hey, this is what you can do, and they ended up?
Yeah, I do, man. It's and I mean, I have a ton of them, but I had a young man that was he just didn't understand. He didn't understand the whole home buying process piece. So when I was asking him for ID and pay stubs and bank statements and those things, he was like, "Why you need all that stuff, man? Why you in my business like that?" I'm like, hey, we gotta get this information, because you're asking the bank to borrow thousands and thousands of dollars, right? And he was like, "Yeah, but I mean, that's too much information." I said, "Okay, well, let me ask you a question." I said, "If I came to you and I was a stranger on the street and I asked to borrow $1,000, would you allow me to borrow $1,000?" He was like, "Nah, man. Why would I let you borrow $1,000?" I said, "Well, why wouldn't you let me borrow $1,000? It's just $1,000." He was like, "Because I don't know you." I said, "Exactly." I said, "So the bank doesn't know you, right? They don't know you, so they have to get to know you. How do they get to know you? They got to pull your credit report. They got to look at your income. They got to understand, can you pay me back? Like, if you knew me, if I was your boy, and I came to you and I was like, hey, man, I'm strapped. I need $1,000. Would you allow me to, and we were tight. Would you allow me to borrow $1,000?" He was like, "Yeah, I would, because you're my boy." I said, "Right." So that's the thing. They got to get to the point to where they feel comfortable allowing you to borrow thousands and thousands of dollars and feeling like you're going to pay them back. And so when we went through all the stuff that we went through, and I took some give and take, some, you know, kind of pulling to get him through the process, but just educating him. And, you know, at the end, he was so thankful for being able to close. You know, we were able to help him with the down payment. The agent was able to get him money for seller concessions to go towards closing costs. So he was able to, you know, buy his house and still have money in his savings account to be able to furnish that house as well. And he had zero clue. I mean, he was like one of the prototypical people that was like, I don't know nothing about nothing, and I don't know why you were in my business like that. You know, sometimes we y'all in my business too much, you know. But that was a very great success story, and it was actually one of my first, I would probably say first 10 closings. One of the first 10 closings that I had at Movement Mortgage. So
wow,
I was able to educate him, and he was able to buy that house, and he's been in that house for 2 years now. So
oh wow, nice. Congrats.
Yeah,
nice.
That was fulfilling.
How can you be reached for the person that may want to, you know, get more education on buying a house? You know, how can you be reached for those people?
Definitely can be reached. You can give me a call on my cell. Phone number is 843-900-4302. Again, 843-900-4302. Or you can send me an email at oj.linney. That's oj.linney@movement.com. I'm available a lot. I'm pretty much available from like 8 to 8 every day, except for really on Sundays. Sundays I kind of shut it down a little bit, but you know I'm typically available most of the time, Monday through Saturday.
Well, listen, man, we definitely appreciate you for coming on our platform and sharing from your wealth of knowledge. So like he said, y'all reach out to him. You see it on the screen, you know, and don't be afraid, you know, of the unknown. That's why you have people like OJ to help guide you through those unknown waters. And he has a proven track record, right? So he'll get it done for you. So JR, you got anything else?
Man, thank you so much, bro. It was a pleasure for you being on the show and just educating our folks and educating us. I'm hoping that more will come to you and they can see that, hey, they're in good hands. And
I
so,
appreciate
man, much success to you, man.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate you guys having me. And a lot of times what people will ask when I was actually changing companies, they would constantly ask me, what's my volume? What's my volume? What's my volume? And volume is basically what you've closed, like in dollars, right? If you close 300,000, that goes towards a volume. You close 300,000, you close 300,000 3 times, that's 900,000. That's my volume. I've closed $900,000 this month.
Wow.
But I've never been a volume person, so I wasn't able to give them that volume person, but I was able to give them the family aspect of it. How many families have you helped?
Wow.
And I knew the exact number of that. And just recently, I'll probably say, I think it was late last year, I exceeded helping 1,000 individuals in my 22 years to be able to buy a house. So I'm well above that 1,000 now, but that's what I'm in it for. I'm not in it for the volume. So I can't tell you if I did 25 million or 50 million. I don't know, but I do know how many families I've helped. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Nice.
Mr. OJ Linney, y'all. That's the man.
And it all goes back to the family. So we know what that represents. So listen, y'all know that we like to bring the people like OJ that's very knowledgeable in their fields and very good at what they do. Follow him on social platforms, reach out to him. Just get that education, get that training that you need. Don't go into it blindly or in the dark. You need to take some understanding with you. OJ has that for you. So listen, y'all know y'all been rocking with Ask a Producer. We always bring the heat, and tonight was no different. So OJ, thank you for that. I go by the name of Gabriel Ori. This is
JR.
And listen,